Dear Reddit, what is your all-time most embarrassing moment?
I had a great day at a water park outdoor pool, and towards the afternoon, a woman came up to me and whispered in my ear that I have a problem with my swimsuit. I reached behind and noticed a huge gap. The fabric was torn right in the middle, and you could see my white, untanned ass crack. I was running around like this all day, and no one said anything. I walked around London for over an hour after getting off the train with my skirt tucked up into my backpack and my bum on show. Nobody said anything, but that's London for you. Even worse was the back of my knickers had OMG in hot pink capitals.
I was at my friend's birthday party in high school and was super drunk. Ran up to a group of people and said, "Watch this." I then proceeded to run and dive into a bounce house, only for the Velcro-lined entrance to grab my sweats of boxers and pull them down to my ankles. I'll never forget the looks of horror on their faces while I laid there on my back with my legs in the air showing off all my goodies. Was on an airplane years ago with my girlfriend and her parents. My girlfriend couldn't get a seat next to me and sat directly behind me. During the flight, I thought I would surprise her and reached me hand back onto her knee. Slowly, I kept extending it up her thigh until I heard giggling. Looked behind through the seats and saw that my hand was on the leg of the guy next to her. He saw my face and said, "I just wanted to see how far you'd go." Of course, my girlfriend was in on it and started laughing along with the rest of the row. Was so embarrassed. I had made a short film that had gotten into a festival, and I had to travel down to Busan from Seoul on the fast train. Super expensive. I was looking good, wearing cool clothes, including a pair of leather shoes I had thrifted. Bad mistake. By the time I left the subway in Busan and walked 100 meters towards the theater, where I was due to give a speech, the top of one of the shoes was starting to flap. I managed to hook my big toe over it to hold it down, but the sides were now lifting up. People I was passing were starting to notice as it looked like I had a club foot. In the end, I had to take the shoe off and throw it away. I now had one shoe and a limp. This was in an area full of apartments. No shops, not even a convenience store. I hopped along, then the other shoe came apart, and I had to throw that away. What the fuck should I do? I'm in an unfamiliar city, shoeless, and on top of that, the glue had left big, black, oily patches on my feet. I walked shoeless to the theater. If you know Korea at all, you know how well-dressed people are. I honestly didn't know what I should do. Not go, even though I was expected and it would ruin my reputation. I honestly felt like crying. I made it to the theater and was ushered to the front before I could explain my situation to my co-director. I had to give a speech shoeless and with oily feet to people I was trying to impress. Then I had to walk to find a store shoeless. Not the most embarrassing, but definitely stands out as one of the most hopeless situations I have been in. In the end, I had to buy shoes from a department store. Not only were they $300 designer sneakers, they were too big so looked like clown shoes. I couldn't sell them because they were full of oil from my dirty feet. Worst trip of my life. This was during my sophomore year in math class. I sat between two gentlemen. I was really congested that day and thus pretty tired at the same time. I was resting my head in my hand and hunched over my math book when I felt a sneeze coming. I went to lean back, but apparently didn't move quick enough when the force of this sneeze sent my face hurling into my desk. My head smacked the desk so hard that I bounced back up like a basketball. At that point, I was just dizzy and like, Meanwhile, the two guys next to me just completely lose their shit. The one on the right is howling with laughter. The one on the left has his face in his hands and is snorting. The teacher looked at us so confused and all I could say was, I sneezed. Edit! Wow! This is the first time I have ever had a comment receive actual attention before. Sorry to rest of you who also banged their heads on desks. And thanks for the silver-kind strangers. I hit face first into a streetlight lamppost because I was staring, while walking, at a beautiful girl walking towards the direction where I am coming from. It was in front of the main gate of our university. Hundreds of students saw it. My friends laughed hard as hell. Recently went on a vacation with some friends, plus a mutual friend who I don't know that well. Him and I took the pull-out couches, and his was right next to the bathroom. Later one night, when we were all walking around away from our hotel, I got the stomach rumbles. Then the nausea hit. I have never felt so sick in my life. It felt like someone was grabbing my insides and twisting them. The second we got back to our hotel, I made a beeline for the bathroom. Through that paper-thin wall, this guy I barely knew heard me shit pure liquid out of my ass, complete with loud, wet farts, cry, and vomit in a trash can in front of me. I spent the rest of the night shivering in bed and making runs to the bathroom. I hit the been married for a decade barrier with them in a single night. Food poisoning is a bitch. My sophomore year of high school, I had a crush on a girl that I had a class with. We'd talked a few times, but I didn't know her that well. It was around Valentine's Day, and our school did a thing where you could pay $10 and student volunteers would go sing a song you picked, in class to whoever you picked, and give them a card. So instead of approaching her like a normal person for a date, I decided to go with the singing Valentine. I plunked down my $10, signed up, and started getting extremely nervous about the next day. That afternoon, I told my friend what I'd done, and he started laughing. And laughing. More than if he were just laughing at a bad idea. Finally, he told me that the girl had a boyfriend. He was a senior, and I was an idiot. The next morning, I explained the situation to a friend of mine that was involved in the program, and after he finished laughing, he told me it was too late. Singing assignments were out. It was going to happen. My only hope was that since singers and time are limited, they wouldn't get to mine, which is a thing that would sometimes happen, and you got your $10 back and not humiliated. So our class together rolls around, which of course I had sent it to that one, and I start watching the clock. A couple other people got the singing Valentines, but with about 10 minutes left, mine still hadn't come. Then the door opened. And instead of the one person with a boombox we normally had, there were three. One was the guy I had begged to cancel it, who gave me the biggest smile as they set up. Now, song options had been limited. This was before streaming existed, so it was just what they happened to have CDs of. I honestly didn't know most of the songs and didn't want to go sappy, so I went with the one higher tempo song I knew, Wild Thing. So they announced who the Valentine was for, and she blushed, I'm sure assuming it was from her boyfriend. They started singing and she blushed harder. They handed her the card that I had written my name in, and her face stopped being pink and went far more red. She looked over at me, and all I could do was shrug. After they left, she said out loud, "But Chewy, I have a boyfriend." And then everyone knew it was from me. I just muttered that I'd found out too late and happy Valentine's Day, and I'm sorry. That was the most embarrassed I've ever been. Edit. Well, that blew up. To answer a couple questions, no, we never ended up going out or anything. We're both happily married to other people now. I assume her boyfriend found out, but I don't think he knew who I was, and I never heard anything from him about it. I don't know if he sent her one in another class or not. Yes, my friend is a dick for not canceling it, but that's what friends do. Also, thanks for the gold. Edit 2. Looking back, the correct play would have been to tell her before class what had happened and tell her to pretend it was from her boyfriend. So if you ever find yourself in this situation, I guess do that. When I was 16, I went to a water park with slides and pools and all with my uncle and two younger cousins. I wore a regular bikini and went swimming in some pools with my cousins for about 40 minutes. We then went to this big slide thing, and after that we got in line to do an even bigger one with my uncle too. As I'm standing in line, I hear some teenagers laugh behind me, and I turned around to see one of them pointing at me and quickly stop as they saw me stare back. I then looked down. I had bits of wet white toilet paper all down my legs. When I was a teenager, I used to always fold toilet paper and put it in my underwear to prevent discharge staining them. I must have done it automatically and forgot I was wearing a bathing suit. I have never felt so exposed and ashamed in my life. There wasn't just a little bit. I started trying to get it off, but there was always more. I tried to play it cool as I was chatting to my uncle, and I know for a fact he noticed because he always notices little things, but thankfully, he never said a word. We are not that close, which made it all the more awkward, along with the fact I was touching my crotch way too much. I was paranoid for the rest of the day for there to be more. Edit, thank you for my first ever silver. I don't know if it was more cringeworthy than embarrassing, but thinking back, I definitely grimace. I was in kindergarten and was playing in the sandbox at recess one day with my friend. We were making a sandcastle but didn't have any sand that was wet enough to form a solid structure. I had been holding my pee for a while, and being 5 years old, I didn't want to stop playing, so I let it out while I was sitting and promptly let my friend know that I had magically found some wet sand that we could build with, and no one was the wiser. We built a damn good castle. Sorry, Matthew. Edit, my first ever silver. Thanks, kind Redditor, and for a post that I probably should have used a throwaway for. The amount of times I have been misled into thinking someone was trying to high-five me and then going in for it. I've wanted to die every time. Edit. Thanks for my first gold. Hey, thanks for watching. If you have made it this far into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit stories. And for another video just like this, check out the video on screen.